The best way to preserve capital in the NFT space is to avoid rug pulls. Here are my 6 ways to avoid rug pulls. Now, first I want to say is that you can't avoid rug pulls 100%. They're going to happen, and if you understand that and you embrace that, you're not going to be let down when it actually does happen. On that note, if you have been rug pulled, let me know in the comments below what project actually rugs you. So first up, I want to define what it is so you can understand. A rug pull in its most brutal sense is a project that just takes your money and then sort of shuts down the website, shuts down Discord, closes off everything and just runs off with your money. Then secondly is a soft rug. Now a soft rug is a project that kind of essentially just under delivers over time and then slowly dies out. So what they do is they do this because they can run up the secondary sales, they can deliver a subpar art project, a subpar roadmap, and just let the community decide that it isn't kind of working, and then people get bored of it and they can slowly let it die out. Now this is what's more common, a soft rug, where they kind of put it together and it just doesn't kind of lead up to the expectations, and slowly over time it just dies out, and then they can exit the project and then start up another one. So number 1, whitelist. Now what I mean by whitelist is a whitelist that is an invite and a grind. Now what this means is it means that they're getting people to invite 5 or 10 people plus get to like a level 7 or a level 10 by sort of being in the chat. What this does is it inflates the numbers when it comes down to Discord and then sometimes also Twitter. What they want to do is they want to have 100,000, 200,000 people in their Discord. They want lots of people chatting all the time. So when someone does their brief research, they come in, the chat's always flying. Then what they do is they see 100,000 in Discord or 200,000 in Discord, they see the chat flying and they go, hey, this project's moving. It's not fake, it's not bots, these are real people. But what it is you come in, you then have to invite 10 people, get to level 7, and you instantly get whitelist. What this means is it means that it's just tying you to the project to kind of pump it up. What this then does is it means that people that were so close to getting the whitelist but that didn't get it, they're going to be invested in that project itself. Now, the reason that they want you to kind of invite those people and grind in the Discord is that if you get close to the whitelist, you may be then more inclined to then buy on the public sale or buy on the secondary market. What this means is that it means that if they've got 1,000 or 2,000 people on the whitelist, they've got those 2,000 instant sales cleared, they're making some money. They've then got you, because you've been spending all this time, effort and energy grinding, what you then do is you're then more likely going to buy it at 3, 4x on the secondary market, which then kind of starts to inflate it. So when it gets to the public sale, people think that there's a healthy secondary market and all that kind of stuff. So when it comes down to the first indication, it's that whitelist and grind aspect. Now, I'm not saying that this is completely bad, but this is one indication that you need to look out for when it comes down to a rug pull. Number 2, royalty fee. Now this is a gray area. It's a gray area because sometimes a project may have a high royalty fee and it isn't a rug pull. What I mean by the royalty fee is that on the secondary market, they can then take a fee. If it's a fee of 10%, but the project should be completely funded by the NFT sales to begin with, this can then kind of give you another indication that the project is just trying to extract as much liquidity from the community as possible. Now, the reason that I say there could be an exception and it is a gray area is the fact that if a project has 100% of the secondary sales, so the royalties are going back into community giveaways and a pot or something like that, then that may actually feed into it and actually make sense when it comes down to the project. But overall, if it's a project that should be completely funded from the mint and they've got a very high sort of royalty fee on the secondary market, then be careful because that may be another indication that it is a rug pull. And to give you an example, if they then do 100 ETH worth of sales on the secondary market and they're taking 10%, that's 10 extra ETH that they've got in their pockets from the people that are in the community. So it makes sense for them to have a very high sort of secondary fee when it comes down to the sales, so they can then just take more and more money as opposed to just the initial mint. Number 3, a doxed team. Now this is another gray area, but basically if a team isn't doxed or they'll dox afterwards, this could be an indication that it is a rug pull because they want to get the sale done and then they'll kind of go, hey, here's who we are. By that point, they've already made the money and they can leave and then shut down the project. Now, the reason I say it's a gray area is because sometimes a team will be doxed, but it's a pseudo dox, it's a fake doxing. Now, what it could be is you could have one person who is the lead of the project. They've then got a support team of sort of 5, 6, 7 people that are supposedly doxed. They can then use the real sort of images. They can set up fake Twitter accounts or buy Twitter accounts and then kind of set up those fake accounts to make it look like they're that real person. The way that you can circumnavigate this and see if the doxing is real or not is reach out to that person through a channel that isn't sort of Twitter and Discord. What this means that if you're talking to someone, and this is just a purely fictional name, Steve Jacobs, you could contact a Steve Jacobs that says that he works in tech via LinkedIn and see if he is actually tied to that project. If he says yes he is, then that's a green flag. Okay, that team is real. But what you'll then find is that sometimes they'll take a photo of Steve Jacobs that works in tech from LinkedIn, make a Twitter account and kind of run that on his behalf to then kind of fake it, because what they know is that someone will do their own research, reach out to Steve Jacobs on Twitter and go, hey, are you part of the team? He goes, yes, but it's actually run by this initial person. So if you're constantly seeing one person at the front and center and no indication that the rest of the team are actually contributing, so you don't ever see their faces or sort of communications from other platforms outside of sort of Twitter and Discord, then that may be a red flag. Now, I have been guilty of this where I kind of reach out and I just stick within the Twitter NFT bubble. But if you go outside of that bubble, that can give you an indication if the docs team is actually doxed. Now, sort of rug pullers are getting very fancy and sophisticated. So that is another way that you can try to kind of circumnavigate and actually get an idea if the team is doxed or not. Number 4, on-trend or meta projects. Now, jacking a trend is the easiest way to get hype for your project, because if a certain style is building up, then people are going to be looking for that next project that's going to kind of ride that wave. Now, I'm not saying that all meta projects or all kind of on-trend projects are rug pulls, but it means that it's easier for them to hide within that space. So if you are looking at a project and it is building up hype and it looks like it could be a derivative, or it looks like it could be on trend with what's happening currently, then it could be a rug or a soft rug. What you should do is have a look at the other indications that I've listed in this video to see if that's the case. If all of these others check out, then you should be fine. Like, you can then kind of have more conviction in moving into the project. Now, what this means is it means that if the project isn't in this hype or on trend part, but it is gaining some momentum because it is actually genuinely unique, then that may be a better indication of a solid project, because every single blue chip project that is kind of out here is a blue chip because they're not a derivative of something else. They are unique. They are a project that's kind of defined and carved out their own niche and their own space within the NFT space. So that's why hype and on trend projects can easily be rug pulls, because they know that they can get that easy attention to then help them run up that project. Number 5, who is the target? Now, the easiest money to make is the money of newcomers and people that aren't experienced. So what you need to look for is the language and who they're actually targeting. Now, I've brought this up before and other people bring this up before, but they're called Instagram projects. The idea that if all of the communications and all of the marketing efforts are on platforms that aren't traditionally deep in the NFT space, this could mean that it is a rug pull or a soft rug. Now, this is another gray area, because there can be some great projects that interact and work that way. But traditionally, NFTs are running with sort of Twitter as the communication platform and lots of Discord. If things are happening in a Telegram chat and they're also kind of running on Instagram, then they may be kind of targeting an audience that isn't deep in the NFT space. Now, it's always great to have new people come into the space, but they can then exploit this, because it's very easy for a rug pull to pop up on Twitter and we can kind of say something because it's at our attention. I'm not on Instagram all day looking at projects, so it's hard to kind of call out rug pulls that you see because you're not seeing them. They're not in front of you on your feed. They're in a different circle and running. So if you come across a project that has more of an influence and more of a communication style on platforms that aren't what would be traditionally NFT based, that could then be another sort of orange flag when it comes down to a project. Another aspect that I want to touch on with the communication is that if they're talking about the floor price, if they're talking about how much money everyone is going to make, if they're talking about whales, these are communication sort of tools that they use to then make people build up a sense of FOMO that isn't actually there. They're trying to prey on people making easy money. They're trying to prey on people that want to kind of make those quick gains because they see something like Bored Ape at 100 ETH and they think, oh, I can easily get this, buy this at sort of 0.5 and then get it to 5 ETH. These projects will prey on the naivete of people that don't understand what a fairly priced NFT is and what an NFT community looks like. And if you start to see these communication styles and standards that don't necessarily make sense and that aren't congruent with what other projects are doing, then that could be a red flag or an orange flag when it comes down to a project. Number 6, the art. Now, what I mean by this is I mean art that maybe only have sort of 5 or 6 previews, 5 or 6 sneaks, and that's all they have. They don't show you more and more. What they have done is they've usually commissioned 5 legendary pieces. They're then going to sell out the project, use that money to then fund the actual art themselves. And what you can also do here is when they don't actually tell you who the artist is or how the artist actually kind of plays into the role. Because what they can do is if you've only got that may be an indication that it is a rug. The other thing that you can do is also start to reverse image search some of these sort of projects and some of these kind of artworks and see if it actually refers to anything. What people may do is they go onto a website that sells 3D sort of images, stocks, kind of models, things like that. They then get these, change up some textures, change up some colors, then run that out. They aren't a 3D artist. What they've done is they've just bought something, given it to someone to rewrap, and then send it off. So that is another indication that you can use. If the artist is doxed, maybe have a look at the artist and see where they've done their work, because some of these projects, what they'll do is they'll dox the artist, but the artist will actually be an artist from Fiverr. And I'm not sort of talking down on that. There are some great artists on Fiverr, an artist on Fiverr that has done that work, that has been commissioned for that work. And you can actually see what projects they've worked on, which then gives you an indication of who actually hired them to see who is behind the project. Additional tip, roadmap. Now, what I mean by the additional tip of the roadmap is the fact that it could be a generic roadmap. Now, every project's going to have a roadmap, but rug pulls usually have some kind of generic roadmap. Now, the generic roadmap will be using words like metaverse, will be using words like community driven. They may just kind of throw in DAO, they may throw in staking. Now, these are great tools and utilities to have if they make sense. An example of a really bad generic roadmap would be, we are a community driven project that is going to be bursting into the metaverse. We've got staking, which buys blue chip assets to put into the DAO to give you passive income. That means absolutely nothing. It doesn't tell you what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, or how you're actually going to sort of retain value of your project. They're just saying buzzwords so that new people that come into the space will see that and kind of be drawn into it and kind of go, hey, this has all of the assets that are a good project. Now, the reason that they use this is they know that staking for something like Wolfgame was a great move, but that made sense for that project. They know that a DAO makes sense for other projects, so they use the word DAO. They know that the word metaverse is very sort of at the forefront, so they throw that in. What they're doing is they're preying on the idea that if one utility works for a project, if we throw in 5 or 6 utilities that have worked for 5 or 6 different projects, then this will be the mega project, which then comes into kind of the communication language and tricking people into thinking that the project is bigger and better than it is. Now, these scammers are kind of realizing this, and sometimes they will just do art only projects. But the idea that if you're starting to see these types of roadmaps, generic roadmaps, then you will kind of have an indication that they could be a rug pull. Now, one of these may be all you need as an indication to see if it's a rug pull, or all 6 may be needed to determine if it's a rug pull. Now, what I will say is that even if it is a rug pull, a savvy investor, just like someone that can short a crashing market, will be able to make money off a rug pull. You could get in early on the whitelist, you could get in on the mint and actually sell it to the highest bidder to make a profit. But I'll leave that up to you if that's ethical or not. If you found value in this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button, or while you're down there, also hit up the like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.